First of all, a very happy holidays and thank you for watching to all of you. And this is obviously my very special Christmas video that I wanted to make, and I wanted to do it on something that I find very intriguing, very interesting, and downright dark. But I'm talking about something called Moral Oral, right? What is Moral Oral? This is a show that ran for about 3 seasons on Adult Swim, and it's about a boy named Orel, right? LOL. But it's about a boy named Orel who is part of a very religious family, and this show takes all the things that religion kind of have this effect on people. It takes Christianity's effect on people, and it really shows just how someone's own being can interfere with their own beliefs and can really challenge people's beliefs and their faith into just their lives and everything. I don't think I explained that properly, but basically, it's religion makes everything challenging for these people. There we go. That was way better. But the thing is, Moral Oral's Christmas special is a very weird thing because it is probably one of the most darkest Christmas specials just out there. And also, it was actually the series premiere somehow when it was actually supposed to be the season 1 finale. So, inherently, the season 1 finale, which is the Christmas special, was the series premiere because Adult Swim had it that way, which is really weird and set off a lot of people because a lot of people thought this was just a one-off gag, and the people who made the show were kind of very pissy, obviously because their premiere was actually their finale, which it has a lot of cliffhangers, it has a lot of questions that weren't unanswered, so therefore that is just a really weird way of handling things. Now, I'm not going to go over the actual show, but I'm rather going to go over this Christmas special because, like I said, it's one of the most darkest ones out there. And it starts off really nicely. It starts off very festive, as one should, but it starts off with Oral and his father and his mother singing a song in a car ride. And something that I just thought is really weird is that throughout this thing, it's about a minute long, but in the middle of this, you hear people chanting, like those kind of people you see on the streets with signs, right? Those people, they say every time you hear a bell, an angel burns in hell. And that, coming from a very religious centered show, that's a hell of a statement to just hear. And I was all for it. Okay, so after they get out to the car ride, they go into a sermon. I don't know what they're called, but you know when you go to church and you hear the guy talking forever, yeah, that guy. They go into this, and there's a really funny joke about how they have their Jews for Jesus friends, and they kind of, I don't know. I just have to show you the scene itself because it's so funny to me.
I'd like to wish a very special first Merry Christmas to our Jews for Jesus friends.
And you know this thing is so odd too because you hear the, I don't know their names or their official titles. I'm gonna have to correct myself, but you hear the guy speaking mention how they celebrate Christmas to celebrate Jesus, right? And he says, in his own words, and I'm just gonna have to show you it. I can't top this.
You know who I'm talking about.
Jesus.
Jesus, our Savior, born from an attractive virgin named Mary.
You know, they go home after the sermon, and then they set up their Christmas tree. They do all that, and Oral's father sends him and his brother up to go to sleep, right? Because he says, Santa says whoever stays up late are jerks. Basically, I thought that was funny. I didn't say it right, but I thought it was funny. And then it goes to this lovely conversation between Oral's father and his mother, and Oral's mother is saying that throughout the sermon, the dude talking was referring to Oral's father, who I don't know if it's revealed here, but he says that, or she says that he was referring to him because it's about a situation between them, and how Orel's father didn't want Orel's little brother.
Jesus was an unplanned birth that really made a name for itself. Why, if
And he says that he doesn't even remember conceiving this child. And then his wife, or his mom, says that, when do you even remember? And then she does this. And then he goes on to say that all he does is try to remember, or just try to forget. He tries to forget. Do you see where this is going? This is already getting weird. I'm just I see this conversation about a man and his wife talking about a child that the man doesn't think is his, or at least doesn't know is his, and how he's using his to try and forget all these things that are happening to him. And that this isn't even 5 minutes into the episode. This is about 4 minutes in. It's close, but still, it's setting the perfect tone for something that gets a bit too real. And holy shit, this is a Christmas special. So it kind of cuts here after he says that he's just trying to do is forget, and it goes to Moral, not Moral. I keep calling him Moral. His name is Orel. Fuck, but it goes back to Orel and how he's praying to God, saying that if Jesus is on Earth, then he wants to meet him. Because not throughout the sermon, right after the sermon, there's a little scene with him and the Reverend about how Jesus could potentially be on Earth again, but this time he won't be as nice. So he's thinking about this. He's thinking about, or Orel is thinking about how Jesus could potentially be on Earth, and how he thinks if no one knows that he's on Earth, he could potentially be alone on his birthday, and he doesn't feel like that's right. So he goes to his father to see what he thinks. And he walks in on their conversation. And their conversation gets a bit too real. Again. His father is saying how his second child looks nothing like him, how he didn't even want him. And Orel is hearing this, right? But because Orel is about 12, he doesn't take this the way that anyone else would. So he starts to think that somehow his little brother is the second coming of Jesus. And keep in mind, his little brother's a fucking douchebag, so he starts to put it together that this time he won't be as nice. So he walks to his brother's room and he just, I kid you not, he does that. And then it goes back to his parents, and then Oral's father says the line, I don't even want to say it, but he says, "Who's been inside you?" And I just, oh my god. He just, that was just direct. But this leads to his wife wanting a divorce, and then, holy shit, dude, this is 5 minutes into a Christmas special? That's a hell of a thing. Okay, then it cuts to the next morning, which is obviously Christmas morning, and Oral's parents just had this fight, right? They mentioned the big D word. So Oral wakes up very excited that it's Christmas morning. He prays to God, says thank you for making my little brother the second Jesus. Then he goes to his mom's room, or his parents' room, and he's knocking on their door saying how this is the best Christmas ever because he has nothing that he really wants. Or nothing to really ask for because he has everything he wants. And this is kind of where it gets a bit heavy because you just saw them fight. You just saw his parents fight. And you just start to see his mom laying there, awake. And, Oral leaves. And then it cuts to his mom's reaction to this whole fight. And it's about 40 seconds of just silence. And you see her just taking this all in. And just because it's all silent, for some reason, you can feel it. And this is a Christmas special. After this, it goes back to Oral and his little brother, and Oral's little brother gets up, obviously, and then this is where you get to see that he's a fucking douchebag. So they go downstairs to see the presents. There are no presents. I think because the father left, But there are no presents. Little kid starts to throw a tantrum. Then he starts to tear apart the tree. he starts tearing off the branches and throwing them. And then you kind of see Orel just kind of get fed up, low key. But then, because he's thinking his little brother's a vessel for second coming of Christ, literally, so he tries to. I don't know how to explain it, what the word is, but you ever get annoyed with someone and you just kind of like you want to punch him in the face, but you can't, so you're just like, and you put on a smile, right? That's what he does. That's exactly what he does. So, because he thinks his little brother is Jesus, he thinks to himself, if the Lord were alive today, what would you get him for his birthday? So, he takes that saying and he takes his little brother to go get a present. Okay, so then Orel takes his brother out for a little walk, and he tries to bring him inside to a little pizza place. And if Orel was my big brother and he took me to a pizza place, I would love him forever. But that's not the point here. The point is, Orel tries to take him to the pizza place, tries to get him something, and little brother doesn't want to go inside, so he leaves him outside. Very good, big brother, to do that. Um, then the little brother starts walking away. He sees this whole, I don't want to call it a diorama, but these statues, I guess, of the scene of when Jesus was born, right? Jesus' father, I forgot his name, Mary. What's his name? I forgot. Um, but he sees that whole scene, and then he sees the little cradle that little statue baby Jesus is in, and he starts swinging it like this. So he's like, "Oh, swing!" And then he takes out the statue of baby Jesus and he just tosses it on the floor. Hell of an imagery, amazing. And then what I think is absolutely funny is that Oro comes back out. He comes out with like a coupon or something, and then he sees his little brothers in there. Then he follows him to this little statue thing, and then he sees the baby Jesus on the floor. And his exact words are, "The apocalypse begins." Then he says, "Yay!" And I thought that was so funny. And they start tearing down the little statues, and then I just think, what the fuck, dude? That's that's funny, but I can tell that there's a darker thing going on, so I don't want to laugh, but it's also like, thank you for making me laugh. And then, okay, from here you get the biggest bombshell, and then the biggest just kind of moment, okay? Because Oral's mother comes in, she finds them wrecking this whole scene, and then Oral, thinking that his little brother's Jesus, straight up tells his mom, "Oh, Dad's not his father, right?" And then his mom just kind of says, "I know that already." And I just was like, Christ. So then Oral asks, "Where's Dad?" And then here's where she tells him that they're splitting up, that they're getting a divorce. And, you know, Oral obviously is like, we can't spend Christmas without him. Like, what? And then his mom kind of gets mad at him because, well, obviously, she doesn't kind of want to deal with that situation. I don't think anybody would. But she tells him, go find him yourself so you can spend Christmas with your precious dad. And I just thought, wow, that's straight up anger in you. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Now, it goes on to the end of this incredibly realistic and dark thing. But Morrow finds his father at a whole pub thing. And he looks through the window, he sees his father talking to someone. And his father and this other person, they're talking. And then he is saying to his father that, you know, his wife isn't going to go through with the divorce, that he doesn't really have to worry about this. And, you know, here's where the weird thing comes in. And this is why I really say that this show says, or kind of gives you the idea that people are challenged by their religious beliefs because they want to follow them, but they also want to follow their own things. Because I remember this as a kid. I remember watching this as a kid, and I remember that Oral's father and this specific man, I don't remember the character or who he's supposed to be, but his father, a very religious man, is having not an affair, but some sort of kindling romance with this man. And keep in mind, Christianity, and I believe most other religions, do not allow the gays. So, Oral's father is potentially gay. And you see it here too, because this other man kind of caresses his back, and then he goes a little down south to his cheeks, and he just kind of leaves his hands there. And Oral's seeing this thing the whole time, and then he kind of turns away from this, and he looks up to the sky, right, to the big man, and he's like, wow, this wasn't the best Christmas ever. Okay, then the ending to this is just Oral trying to process this thing, and he realizes there's still 2 minutes left for the whole day to end, and that then he looks up to the sky, does this obviously, prays to God in a way, and he says, "There's still 2 minutes left. I still have faith in you." And it's just camera panning upwards with silence, and I just kind of think, wow, okay, your parents just split up. You realize that your dad is fucking gay. That's not really meant to be an insult. It just kind of came out that way. Sorry, but you see this. You just see all this happening, and you choose to keep your faith in God. One thing, hell of strength for a 12-year-old. What I assume is a 12-year-old, and it's also just he hasn't processed this yet, and it's like, or at least he hasn't processed this properly, and it's like, oh my god, because like I'm obviously not 12, so if I were to be in this position, I would be fucking shook. um, so to see a little, not a kid, but a little tween, I suppose, would be the word. Just see this, not comprehend it properly, but to to know something is wrong, just not to fully understand that what is wrong here. But he tries to keep his faith in God. I just think that's a hell of a way to end a Christmas special. This kid is just seeing his family potentially fall apart, but he's keeping his hope in his God. He's keeping his hope that everything's gonna be okay. And it's like, at what point do you hold on to a belief that inherently would just hurt you? And it's just, holy shit, dude. Like, you kind of see why a lot of people kind of stray away from religion. And it's like, damn, I want to see more of this. Like, not of like a family falling apart, but like a child having his faith be challenged like that. I know it's just a show, but it's like, holy shit, dude, I want to see that shit go down. And it does. And in like, not the most horrific way, but like one of the most horrific ways, right? So it's like, why is this a Christmas special? And why is it so fucking depressing? But that's it though for this. It's about 12 minutes. All these episodes are about 12 to 15 minutes. And I just really, really like this show as a whole because it takes something that's so strict, right, like religion, and it really shows its effect on people who try their best to follow it, but just they can't, and they just slip through, and you see how these slips really hurt them. It's so fucking good, dude. It's so fucking good. Moral Oral is just a hell of a show that I feel like probably deserved better because it was played with just a lot of problems behind the scene, and it shows so much good stuff and from such a different perspective that I feel like you just don't really see. Like, you probably hear of these things, but you don't really see them and how they play out. So I absolutely love this. But I've been talking a lot. I don't know what this is. 21 minutes for me. I don't know what it's gonna cut down to, but wow, I love Moral Oral. It's so mature, but it's also heavy, and it shouldn't be. It isn't really presented that way, but it is, and it's crazy. It's a really good show. I wish more people knew about it as well. But no one knows about that. I feel like I'm the only one that knows about this in terms of like people that I know of and stuff. But that's it. That's probably one of the darkest Christmas specials out there. Christmas specials are usually so happy and cheery and festive, right? And then you obviously have your other darker ones, but then to have one that's kind of rooted in like reality, this much, it's a lot more different than probably like oh the world ending or some other bullshit like that, right? So it's different. I love it. I absolutely love Moral Oral, and it deserves so much more attention and praise than it does get. But just because that one thing is depressing, don't let your holidays be depressing. And please, honestly, from the very bottom of my heart, if you're still here, thank you. I hope you have a very special and happy holidays because we all need it. We all very much need them. We all deserve them, and I hope you have them. That's it for me. I hope to have at least three more things before the end of the year. This has been a very good year to me in terms of this whole channel thing. Well, at least after like September down, it's been really good to me. I'm really happy with what I turned it into. I could not have kept going on with gaming. I know I wouldn't have. I would have died if I stayed there. So I'm really happy that I'm doing just what I want to actually do. And I'm just glad that there's someone watching. And thank you so much. All of you. Thank you. But yeah, that'll do it for this. More oral is fucking great. If you have a chance to see it, if you can find it, I don't know what streaming service it's on. I know it's on one, but I don't know what it's on. But if you can find it on one of them, you just do yourself a favor and look at it. Do me a favor and look at it. Yeah, that's it. But I don't know what this is gonna cut down to. So, like I said, thank you for watching. Um, and bye. I guess. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all those things.